Yep, it's a new year, the first of its kind in the year 2025. Yes, so we are waiting for him to join in. So we sent you invite already, sir. So if you could accept that, we sent you an invite already. So just waiting for you to accept. Okay, all right. We're accepting your request now. We're trying to accept the request. Oh, so sorry. I don't know why it's not connecting. Okay, I'm sending the invite again. Sending it again. All right. Yes, sir.
Good to go. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't complain about a thing.
Wow, how has been your day? Hope you're fine.
Huh?
Firstly, I said, how has been your day? Hope you're good.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yes, so
everything
wow.
is well.
It is super amazing. Like seriously, it feel like a dream come true for us. I mean, to have you
Yeah.
around. Like, thank you very much for making this up. It's really a great privilege for us right there. Thank you so much for making this up. We are super excited about it. So without wasting much of our time, because we don't want to make um this much more longer like that. So let's just have a short prayer before we start.
All right.
Our Lord and God, we want to thank you for this amazing moment you have given us the privilege to witness. May your name be highly exalted in the name of Jesus. And we are right here again to learn under your feet. We pray that you speak to us through our guest this evening. And at the end of everything, we'll have the full cause to glorify your name. For in Jesus' mighty name we are prayed. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yes, sir. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone watching us across the globe. Happy New Year. This is just more like a first of its kind in the year 2025. And we are super excited to bring to your screen right now one among the great, creators of all time. I mean, he has been your mentor. You have been his fan. He has been so much impactful to you. Like he, to me, I call him is amazed that is amazing.
Oh,
So,
no, man.
so we are super excited to bring him on your screen right now. Like, thank you for joining. Thank you so much for making this up, and just dive in with us and go along with us because I know you're going to have something new to learn, and it's
Amen.
going to dish out something great to us. So let's get started, sir. So my first question here is can you just tell us how the whole journey started as a musician?
All right. The journey started. It's in my bloodline. My whole
Hmm.
family is either singers or musicians. My dad plays the guitar.
Wow.
And my brother plays the guitar. My cousin, he plays guitar, drums, bass, keyboard, sings. Like, it's in my blood. So
Yes, sir.
when I was young, I was in the choir at church, and I was singing.
Oh,
Just wishing
yes,
that I
sir.
could play drums. But my cousin, he was playing drums when I was young. So
Mm,
as he got older, he moved toward bass and keyboard in the church.
mm,
And we had another drummer in our church who's a super close family friend of ours. I call him a cousin. So as I got older, when I was playing outside, and just as a kid, I played football. That's really what I
mm.
wanted to do. I wanted to be in the NFL, and I
Wow.
also wanted to be a police officer. I didn't even want to play drums as a career. Um, so when I got to high school, the only way that I could have went to the high school I went to is if I was in the performing arts program.
mm,
Now, that high school was where a lot of my childhood friends were going. So
mm.
I was like, I want to go, but I
Yes, sir.
didn't live in the area code of the school. So I had to be in the program. So I get accepted into the program after learning how to read music and things like that.
Oh,
And I'm in high school, and I found out that I couldn't play football and be in
mm.
the performing arts program at the same time at that
Same
moment.
time. Yes,
So I
sir.
chose music instead. So went through 4 years of high school doing piano theory, music history, things like that. And when I got out of school, I applied to Bowie State University. I got accepted into Bowie State University. The
Mm,
day that I went to do my testing to see what classes I would be put in and things like that,
mm,
I finished the tests and everything, and I made my like part-time schedule. I wasn't going to go full-time. I was going to go part-time to start.
mm.
Um, I went to Wendy's with my mom when we were on the way home. We went to Wendy's and we
Oh.
got our food. I told her, I said, I don't want to go to college. And I was I was really applying and everything because I felt that it would make her and my dad proud.
Mm,
They've never forced college on me like you have to go to college. They were always
correct.
like whatever you want to do it, but do it to the best of your ability.
Yes, sir.
So I told her I said I don't want to do college. She said okay. Well, you're not gonna be sitting around the house all day doing nothing. So
Mm,
I'll give you a little bit of time before you have to start applying for jobs and everything like that. So a little
mm,
time went by, and soon as the time came for me to really make the decision, okay, do I want to work a 9 to 5 or go to school?
mm,
When that decision came for me, I became a part of a local band, and the
mm,
local band we were doing shows throughout the week. And me,
mm.
I was still at home with my parents, so I didn't really have any bills.
Wow.
I only had my car note to pay and my phone bill to pay.
Mm,
So I was making, more than what I needed to pay
yes,
my
sir.
car note and everything like that. And
Yeah.
from there, I got a few opportunities to go on the road. My cousin, he called me to go on the road with an international artist.
Mm.
And from there, my career just kind of took off, to be honest.
And and here we are today.
Yes, sir. Here we are today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow, it has been a great time, man, and it's glory to God that is able to keep us from falling.
Yes, sir.
So okay, all right. So okay, before I move on again, I would just like to ask this question: that how can you describe the type of the music you typically create?
I mean, music wise, what I create is like an old school vibe. I have a song called "One Day at a Time" with my band Attention, and I
Mm,
produced it, I wrote it, and everything like that, along with my cousin. And I told him, I said, church quartet groups like the Mighty Clouds of Joy, and other quartet groups that I grew up
mm,
listening to, like Darren McFadden, and the Disciples. I think that's what they're called, but overall, that's what inspires my music, like the '70s style, old
mm,
school feeling. So that's where like most of the inspiration comes from. But actually creating it is just creating what's from my heart. Like, what message do I want to get out there? How do I want the music to
mm.
sound? How do I want people to feel when they hear the music?
Yes, sir.
Everything like that. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just trying to move very fast so we can release you so you can attend to some other things right there.
Mhm.
Okay, so now while growing up as a musician, what are um what are the most challenging part, the most challenging aspect or areas in your life, and how were you able to overcome them?
One of the out well, I'm not even gonna say one of the most challenging paths. The most challenging thing has been so far becoming a family man, having
Hmm.
children and having a wife now,
And I'm
and
still coming there.
being a traveling musician. So
Hmm.
sometimes I have to be gone for 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes I have to be gone for 2 or 3 months. And
Wow.
the time away from your family, it really, it allowed me to see and allowed me to feel the emotions of being away from your family.
Hmm.
So I feel
Sir.
like even though what I've done, I don't feel like it compares to people in the army and things like that. But sometimes they're away from their family for years.
Yes,
You
sir.
get to come back sometimes, but you're kind of on call. So
Mm,
sometimes I can come off the road, and then I get a call the same day that I come off the road, like, "Hey, can you play a show in a week?" And it's like I just came off the road. So sometimes I'll take the call,
mm,
and sometimes I'll say, "No,
mm.
I just came off the road. I can't do it."
Yes,
Taking time with the
yeah.
family. And that was
Yes, sir.
difficult. That was a bit difficult to be able to have the discipline and the I guess the will to make that sacrifice of not choosing music,
Mm,
but being like, I've been away from my family, so this time is just family time.
mm,
And even as me being a content creator, sometimes I get wrapped up in my work after I record a video. I send it over to my
mm.
computer and start mixing it. And sometimes I'm down
Yes,
here
and
all
start
night doing
addicting.
that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
recently, I had to put myself on a schedule like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do from this time
sir.
to that time, and the rest of the like I had to put myself on a schedule. So those are two challenging things for me because I haven't always been the great at following schedules that I set, but I've
Mm,
had to, I've realized the difference that it makes. I feel
mm,
like I'm a lot freer, a lot more free, like in my mind. I'm not just like, oh, what do I got to do now? What do I got to do now? It's like, nope. I recorded what I
everything
needed
is
for the day,
their
and
structure.
I'm spending. Yes, bringing good structure. But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
man, being a family man and traveling, that has been the most challenging journey so far in my career, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm loving what I'm learning through it.
Yes, sir. Okay, now, okay, let me chip in this. Like, you have been a great musician. I mean, when it comes to your dexterity, I mean precision, like the way you play your drum fill, being
Man.
creative, working around different drum rudiment. So how were you able to, like, what's your approach in developing and maintaining your drumming techniques?
So my approach with that is honestly what feels right to me. What feels
Mm,
right when I sit down? How do I
mm,
angle my drums? How high do I sit? How low do I sit? I
mm,
feel like it all really comes from your anatomy, how you are, how your body type is, your arm length,
mm,
your hand size, your strength, everything like that. Because then you have to look into, okay, what size sticks work for me? What length of
mm,
drumsticks work for me?
mm,
What gear should I play? Should I play big drums? Should I play small
mm,
drums? All like
mm.
that's my approach when it comes to it. I think about all of the things other than the actual thing. So I like when instead of thinking about how I'm going to play, I think about what I'm going to play. And then I start to sit down and I get in my practice room and I put the drums where I want them to be. And this is if you're starting from scratch. I put the drums
Mm,
where I want them to be. Whether I want to just have a bit of fun, like the setup that I have now, where things are just not in the quote unquote normal position from what I'm used to growing up.
mm,
Um, and then also watching other musicians that I like, whether that's a bass player, a pianist, another
mm.
drummer, somebody on harmonica, listening to different types of music, all
Sir.
of these things. I start to create, like, they give me the inspiration to
Mm,
do what I want to do. And then when I sit down, it's like, okay, I'm going to play drums. And a lot of times when I was a kid, I would go into my practice room and I would just
sir.
head over songs for a long time. Like I would
Mm,
be down there for hours and hours just doing chops over a bunch of different songs after watching Aaron Spears on YouTube or Nick Smith on YouTube.
sir.
So but I don't feel like I've ever had any quote unquote proper technique for building the dexterity and everything like that. It's just I
Mm,
play drums and I play what I like to play, and if I had an idea, I would try it out. You know,
mm,
as I'm getting older, I realize I can't eat all of the things I used to eat. I can't eat as much as I used to eat. I
mm.
can't drink all of the things I used to drink. Like you got to
Yes,
physically
sir.
take care of yourself in order for you to really have the dexterity or the mobility while you're on the drums.
Yes,
Because I like
sir.
to do a lot of cross things. it's like if my arms aren't in good shape, or if my if my body isn't in good shape,
You won't
how
be
am I
able to
gonna
do that, man, and that's gonna be
exactly?
hard to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like along with my approach, it's all of the things before I sit on the drum set and outside of me sitting on a drum set, that's where the approach starts. And then when I get on the drum set, I literally, if I could think it, I could play it, kind of thing. And that's with everybody. If you could think of an idea,
Yes,
you could play the idea.
sir.
It may not
Yes,
be
sir.
easy, and it may take time to develop, but you have to sit
Yes,
down
sir.
and work the idea out,
Yes, sir. Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, now this now takes me back to I know the other time you mentioned you being away from home 2 3 months, and I'll be like, how did you do it? Like, I mean, your
hmm
family man.
Yeah.
So this question about that, how do you tend to make the balance between music and family?
Well, by God's grace, He's blessed me with a wife who understands what I do.
Yes,
She
sir.
she's had musicians in her family. She's
Mm,
had members of the army in her family. So I mean, I said musicians. What did I say? She's had musicians in her family, and she had members of the army in her
mm,
family. So she knows that okay, this is a demanding job, and sometimes it
mm.
requires me to be away. And that's something
So,
that we talked about when I first met her, and when we first decided that we were going to take things serious. We had that
mm,
conversation. So to any musician on here who has a girlfriend, or you have somebody that you're just dating, or if you have a wife and you haven't had that
mm,
conversation of you wanting to be a professional musician,
mm,
please have the
mm.
conversation. It may not be easy, and it may be
Sir.
difficult. It may it may throw a person off and make them not want you anymore. But
Mm.
I feel like that's a lot better than you getting into the relationship and then all of these things start going
Yes, sir.
left because oh, you want to travel? You didn't tell me that. You know what I mean? Like
Things
have these
start
conversations
falling apart.
beforehand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and while we were in marriage counseling, man, one of the things that my uncle, who's also my pastor, one thing that he and my aunt told us is communication is key. You have to communicate, like
Sir.
whether that means talking every day, whether that
Mm,
means talking every minute, whatever it is. When
mm.
you're away from each other, even when you're with each other, you have to communicate. If you
Sir.
feel a certain type of way, communicate that. Let the other person know. Um, but that's one of the best ways, and one of the ways that has helped me over the years extremely is just communicating with my wife. Like, hey, like whenever
Mm,
I get a call to even go on a
mm.
gig or a tour, it's like, or I get an email, I'll show her the email and say, hey, this just came through, let me know how you feel about it and things like that, because you have to put your wife before any and everything. Your
Yes,
wife comes
sir.
first.
Yes,
Your wife
sir.
comes first. It's biblical, and it's something that we need to follow.
Sir. Yes,
So
sir.
understanding that, and understanding that God honors when you're faithful to Him,
Mm,
it also put me in the mindset of okay, He wants me to cherish my family more than anything. So that's what
mm.
I do.
Oh.
Like I've always been so like I've always been the guy of like, oh, am I ever gonna have to choose music over family?
Mm,
And I used to be
mm,
nervous about that. But at this
mm.
point, if it came between doing music or being with family, family is always first. You have to
Yes,
take
sir.
care of home. You have to take care
Yes,
of your
sir.
family before anything else. Um, so yeah, those are some key points that I've used over the years to help me and help my family as well, just to be understanding and comfortable in the situations where I do have to go,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'll do things ahead of time. So if I get a call
Mhm.
today saying, hey, we have a tour booked for April through November, can you do it? What I'm gonna say
Mm.
is I'm available, but I want to talk to my wife about
My
it.
wife first.
I'm going
Yes,
to,
sir.
yeah,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to talk to my wife about it
That's
and make sure she
priority
understands
first. Yeah,
everything.
priority.
Yeah. And then I'm going to, like we're going to talk about what needs to be done, and we're going to end up
Mm.
calling, babysitter to
Yes,
make sure
sir.
that my son is taken care of when
Yeah.
during the day, because I won't be here. Like that's normally what I do when I'm home. I'm a stay at
Mm.
home dad. I'm a stay-at-home
Mm.
dad, proudly.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, when I'm not here, we need somebody to watch him. So
Uh,
gratefully, my sister has been able to watch him over the past year that he's been alive.
mm.
Um, and yeah, man, that's just communication is what I would say is the biggest key.
Yes,
Communicating your
sir.
feelings,
Mm.
communicate what you're doing.
Yes,
Like
sir.
texting. I text my wife, "Hey, I'm about to go in a sound check. I won't
Mm.
be available to talk for the next 2 hours."
Mm.
Like something as
Mm.
simple as that.
Mm.
Instead of
Com-
yeah, you know what I mean. Like yeah,
Communication, yes, sir.
yeah,
That's the key. Communication, yes, sir.
yes,
You're not trying to
100%.
be kind of being biased or something. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm checking the time. We just have about maybe 9 minutes more. So
Mhm.
I think we have just two questions left. Okay,
Okay.
another one. Okay, so another one right here is that I just wanted to talk about. I mean, you know, I would just like you to just try to chip in and try to make it very short, talking about music business and endorsement, because I know you're a great man, and your professionalism have brought to you has brought to you some great endorsement, whereby people see some talent in you and they want to invest in. So I would just love you to talk about a bit of music business and getting endorsed.
Oh, getting endorsed as well. Okay. When it comes to music business, one thing that I've learned is you have to understand that it's music business. It's not always going to be fun doing the
Hmm,
business portion of music, but you have to make sure that it gets done. So
hmm,
here, one of the biggest things that I feel like I've gotten in some danger over is tax
hmm,
problems.
hmm,
Maybe not having 1099 or anything of that sort. But I would
hmm,
definitely say that's something that you want to look into if you are getting paid lots of money and things like that. Sometimes the artist or whoever you're playing with, they're not going to ask you to, fill out the W-9 and send it to them for tax purposes,
yes, sir.
and you'll get in tax trouble. To be honest,
Hmm,
that's one of the things I want to say to make sure that you are reading up on those kind of things and just try and make sure that you're privy
hmm,
to all of those kind of things as far as taxes go, because
hmm,
that's one of the greatest troubles I feel like I've ever been in is tax
hmm,
trouble. And
hmm,
because things like interest and everything occurs over the years. So
hmm,
if you don't really know about it, then you're just going to end up owing a whole bunch of money. So see about hiring an accountant. But also what goes into the business portion of it is how you live your life and how you are as a person. You got to make sure
hmm,
that you develop your good reputation so that
hmm.
business keeps coming. If there's a store or something, and don't worry. I want to put this out there. Don't worry about the 30 minutes. We could stretch it to maybe 40 or 45.
Okay, all
I've
right.
already yeah. I've already
Thank
I've
you,
already
sir.
told yeah. I've already told my videographer that we're gonna have to do a little later.
Well,
But yeah,
thank you
man.
very much, sir.
Oh
Yes,
no,
sir.
no problem, man, no problem. But developing and building your reputation, like make sure you have a
Hmm,
good reputation, so that when people call around, when someone is thinking of having you on a gig, sometimes what they'll do is they'll call someone else they know that may have worked with you before, and you want that person to say, "Oh yeah, Hayes is a good person. He shows up
hmm,
on time. He learns good
hmm.
music. He doesn't complain. He's you want them to say all good things about you,
Yes, sir.
but if you have a bad reputation, then that's going to be bad for business for you. And those are two big things that I would say to make sure that you are aware of and that you're just stay conscious of. Um,
Hmm,
and I mean, I know we talk about contracts and things a lot. Not everyone is willing to give out contracts, so I want to
hmm,
say, understand this: as a freelance musician, anything can happen. You could be playing
hmm,
for an artist for a long time, and just out of nowhere, at the blink of an eye, they could say, "Oh, we want to go with another band, or we want to go with another drummer." And
hmm,
you have to understand that I'm not contracted or anything to this person, so that's just what it is. It's not right.
hmm,
But that's just what it is. And as freelance musicians, we have to be um aware of that. I'm not saying that it has to be okay in your eyes, because it's not okay in my eyes, to be honest. You just gotta, yeah, you gotta just live with it and go on and move on to the next thing. Continue doing what you're doing. You
Mm,
know what I mean? So
sir.
those are a few things, on the business side of music that I have to share, and some things that I've experienced and learned over the years.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, now this brings up to another question. Like, okay, I've been a fan of your music, and like, you are just the type that people out there always love to watch play. So, like, my question now is, how were you still able to gain that relevancy up till date?
Sorry, sorry. 1 second. Um, yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry. Can you ask your question again? My
Okay,
apologies.
okay. I've been a fan of your music for a long time, and you have been a great musician that I really hold an high esteem, and somebody like somebody that keeps people always wanting more,
Mhm.
seeing you more, to play more, and people always love to hear you play. So how are you able to maintain that relevancy till date? Like
Man.
what I'm saying is that, I mean, it gets to a time whereby, I mean, coming from the aspect of people never get tired of your music. Like they said, we
Mhm.
just want to listen to Haze Amaze. Like
Oh
people always
man.
longing to see you on drums. So how are you able to remain that relevancy, man?
Man, I don't. It's honestly not something that I like purposely think about, or purposely, I guess, do. Like, as you go through life, you'll experience different things, and you'll see different things that change your opinion about something, or that
Mm,
changes your approach to something, that changes your ideas about something. And I feel like over the years, like, new things come out all of the time, whether that's
mm.
media or whether that's something tangible. New things are
So,
happening each and every day. So I feel like just doing what's in my heart was is always or has always reached other people, and that's what I
mm,
do. I always like to think about new things to do, new ways to be
mm.
creative. Like,
So,
oh, what's something that I want to do, and not always, oh, what's something that's never been done before. I don't always think
mm,
about that, but sometimes I do. I think about, oh, what's never been done before. So I
mm.
just started up like a new drum lesson series on YouTube called Lessons from the Crib, and that's
So,
literally, I'm in the room where I do the lessons from the crib
I
from.
see that.
But
I see
yeah,
that.
but I
I
mean,
get to see that with the Remu on that
oh,
wall. I get to know that with that Remu, yeah.
yeah, man. But the thing about it is, how can I, like, I've always been a little hesitant about drum lessons,
Mm,
because I'm not the most technical guy. I
mm,
don't know the name of every rudiment. I don't. Yeah, that's just not how I grew up, and that's not what I've honestly taken the interest in always learning.
mm,
But I've always hesitated and have been a little not confident with doing drum lessons. But I told myself, I said, man, you have something that people want to know. You have something that people want to
mm.
learn.
Yes,
People ask
sir.
all the time, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? So be
Mm,
yourself, and you give it, you like, a lot of times what you want to do is you want to give something sticky. You want to make it stick. You want to give it something that people are like, oh, I like this. Like, drum lessons.
yes, sir.
Drum lessons have been around for a whole lot of years.
Yes, sir.
So what makes my lesson different from the next person's
Different.
lesson?
Yes,
You
sir.
know, but what makes it different is how I do it. That's
Mm.
that's simply what makes it different. Is I'm not teaching. I don't feel like I'm teaching anything outside
That
of
has
what
been
anyone else
exist.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody teaches drum fills. everybody teaches how to
Yes,
stay
sir.
on time,
Yeah.
everything like that. So it's just being confident in what I have to offer and understanding somebody out there learns like me. So if they learn like me, then let me put out content the way that I would learn it, and try to develop ways that even the person who doesn't learn like me can still learn from it.
Mm.
And you put it out and hope that people receive it the way that you're giving it out, which is, I want to put these lessons out to help you all develop. I want to put
Yes,
these lessons
sir.
out to help you all build as a drummer or as a person, in life. And you put out your A game, and you always understand that something could be done better.
Yes, sir.
Always be in
Yes,
that season of
sir.
transition, of change, because the world changes every day. So you have to adapt to new ways of doing things. I feel
Mm.
like it's just like LeBron James in his career. When he
Mm.
when he came in, the basketball wasn't played like it is now. The rules weren't the same as they are now, but
Yes,
he's still
sir.
extremely relevant
Yes,
in today's
sir.
game.
Yeah,
So
yes, sir.
yeah, man,
You're right.
yeah, going along with the times, man.
All right, man. This is getting much more deeper. So we just have like two questions again. So
All
I don't
right.
want to waste much of time. Okay, so another question right here is, you know, I've seen you, at least, I mean, working with elite musicians. I mean, be it bassists, different drummers, guitarists, pianists. I mean, you've toured around across the globe. So, how do you cope when you are in the midst of musicians among equals?
You're saying, how do I like connect with them, or how do I remain being me?
No, 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 no. Yeah, like what I mean is, like, when you have a lot of equals in the room. So how do you cope?
How do I cope?
Yeah, cope, like, I mean, when you have, like, how do you cope as a musicians among equals? Like, when you have a lot of friends, you have great musicians around you, and you are
Uh-huh.
all in the same room.
Yeah.
So how do you cope? Like, how do you feel?
Okay. Oh, you said cope. It sounded
Yes,
like you
yeah,
said co. I'm
yeah,
sorry
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
Yes, I mean
My
cope.
apologies.
Yes,
Man, it's amazing. First off, it's amazing to be around any musician who's of a high level. It's amazing to be around any musician who's not of a high level, because you can learn something from being around both. You can learn something from watching both sorts of musicians. But being around musicians of a high level, I'm confident in who I am and what I have to offer.
mm,
It's not intimidating to me.
yes, sir.
Um, it's Yeah, man. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be God or anything, but I am who
Yes,
I
sir.
am. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
I'm me.
yes, sir.
I can't be anybody
Yes, sir.
else. Yeah, I
Yes,
can't be
sir. Yes,
anybody
sir.
else. And I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way, which is why I wanted to give the disclaimer before I said that.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, I'm
Yes,
me.
sir.
I don't want to be anybody else. Um, and yeah, man, that's how I am when I'm around other musicians, and I'm always in the space of, I know I can learn something from these great musicians. You know.
And even more here, like, you as an A-list drummer and a professional musician, you always have something to bring to the table. I mean, something amazing.
Oh
That's like,
man,
yes, sir. That's
man.
just right.
I mean,
I
o-
mean,
over the years, you study and you start to understand who you are.
mm,
I think one of the biggest problems I see in musicians is they don't have an identity. When you don't
hmm,
have an identity for yourself, you don't have an identity in music. So
hmm,
developing my identity, understanding this is who I am, this is how God made me, and developing a spiritual relationship so that you can have more feeling and insight on what it is your purpose is. You
hmm,
start to you start to understand, like, okay, you got this drummer or musician doing this big thing, or this drummer doing this big thing, like, okay, it's not like, oh, I gotta do something to equal or to compare.
hmm.
No,
Yeah,
do what you
or to
do.
play out others.
Yeah, like, but do what you do and be confident in who you are. That's yeah, that's generally how how I am.
Yes, sir. So we need to go. We need to go. We need to go. So the last question right now
Uh,
is okay. What's your you have people out there. You have some of your fans. They are watching right there. Some are
uh,
connecting, and some are still going to watch this interview session later. So what's your advice for musicians out there? People who are let me just say both upcoming novice enthusiasts, professional as well. That what's your advice for them? Even people who also looks up to Haze Amaze that I want to be like this man. I want to be like this musician. Like people who really loves your kind of music. People who love your playing. People who are fan of your music. So what's your advice? What do you have for them?
yeah. One of my biggest pieces of advice is to develop your confidence
Mm,
and, like I just said, understand who you are.
sir.
You don't want to do what we like to call keeping up with the Joneses, meaning you want to do everything that everybody else is doing, because once you're trying to do
Mm,
that, you're just going to stick right into a crowd of a bunch of people and you're not going to stand out from anybody, which
sir.
can lead to you not getting chosen or selected to play gigs
Mm,
if that's what you want to do, or do drum clinics if that's what you want to do. Be confident in who you are and what you have to offer. Ignore all of the BS that comes with being a musician, or that comes with being a brand.
mm,
I've seen a couple what I feel like disrespectful comments here in live this Instagram live so far,
mm,
but it's about being able to be greater than that. It's
yes,
about
sir.
being able to understand, like, people are going to say what they say. I deal with it on YouTube comments, Instagram comments. Someone always has something negative to say, but understand
Mm,
they're
yes,
sitting there
sir.
watching you do what they wish they could do.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
that's a big thing, and that's something that I've developed over the years, and developed that discipline to say, oh, it's a free platform, people are going to say what they're going to say.
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of times we like to say, well, I don't care what anybody thinks. No, you do. I
You
care
are
about
who
what
you
people
are.
think about.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I
You
care
are who
about
you are.
what people think about me. I care
Yes,
about
sir.
what people think about my brand. And I'm always open to the positive comments and to the negative comments,
Yes,
because you never know.
sir.
These things can just help you elevate in a way that you never thought of. But I think the problem comes when we start to take too much what people say to heart, and then when they say
Yes,
negative
sir.
things, we let it get in our thoughts, and we let it
Yes, sir.
um we let it we let it bring us down off of
Yes,
what we're
sir.
trying to do, and
Kill the
that's one of the
positive
things I
vibe in
want to
us.
say. Continue pushing, because times are definitely going to get difficult. There are going to be seasons where you're going to have a lot of gigs, where you're going to have all of this going on. Then there are going to be seasons where you're not going to have a lot of gigs. You're not
Yes,
going
sir.
to have a lot of people liking your videos, or you're going to have people unfollowing you on social
Yes, sir.
media and everything like that. Like, just, you got to understand, like, continue to be who you are, and do what you have to do to make it, man. I feel like there's so much work out here for every musician. Don't look at it as this pot. I guess it's called a melting pot or something like that. But don't look at it as everybody has to be in this general area. No,
Yes,
there are
sir.
there are millions of artists in the world.
Mm,
Find your lane, stick to what you do, be
yes,
confident,
and
and learn how to adapt to your environment.
mm,
One of my mentors named Young World, he told me, and this will always stick with me. He told me that you got to be like a chameleon. You got to be able to adapt to the situation that you're in.
yes,
Growing
sir.
up in church, we'll go to different churches, and sometimes the drum phone will be broke. Sometimes the hi-hat
Mm,
stand to be broke, the foot pedal isn't what you like it to be, or the snare,
yes, sir.
whatever the case is. You're not sitting in there like, oh, this drum set sucks, I'm not doing. You're not
Yes,
doing that. You're like,
sir.
okay, I understand
Ad-
what's wrong here, and here's how I'm gonna make it work. You know.
yes, sir.
So those are a few pieces of advice, man. Be confident, be consistent. Be consistent
Mm.
in the good things. You can have consistent bad habits, but you should try to break those. Don't be consistent with bad habits, okay?
That's
But
sure. That's sure.
be, be consistent with things like practice,
Yes,
whether that's
sir.
practicing drums or practicing character, humility, man, like all
Sir.
of these things. If you don't already, I would say build your spiritual relationship with God. That's
Sir.
something over the
That's the
past,
ultimate. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
over the past, I would say 4 or 5 years, man. That's something that I've had to make it intentional in my heart. It's something that I
Mm.
tried to do before because I thought it would, I just thought that's what I should do. But over the past
Mm.
few years, it's like in my heart, I really want to know this. I really want to know this. So let me go to where I can find these answers.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
always be open to change. Well, that's adaptability as well.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
Yes,
man,
sir.
be consistent, be confident, be a chameleon, adapt to different situations, and just overall, be a kind person. Do something good
Yes,
for
sir.
today. I don't know what time it is where you are, but where I am is 12 o'clock. I have plenty of time in my day to give somebody a hug, to call somebody and tell them I love them.
Mm.
To do anything, pay for somebody food in the drive-through. Like
Yes,
do a
sir.
good deed today. That's what I want y'all to do. And anybody who's watching this, do a good deed today. Any sort of good deed.
Wow, wow, wow. This is like it's a good way to start the year, sir. I mean, these inspirational and motivational words of wisdom, these
Mhm.
are great, man. Thank you for dishing out those great ideas and words of wisdom. I mean, you people watching across the globe, I hope you have been blessed. I mean, this interview might be a short one, but indeed it's very loaded and impactful. I mean, a big shout out to Haze Amaze. You are so
Oh
like I
man.
said, Haze Amaze. That is so amazing.
Nah, God bless you, man. And one more thing I would like to add is your communication as a musician. Make sure to the younger musicians, even to the older musicians. Make sure that if you get an email, check your email. Especially if you're already in a touring situation, check your emails. They have things called day sheets that they send out. When you're a working musician, check the day sheets. Check your texts. Try not to be one of those who you get a text and you don't respond
You
until a
snub
long
off.
time later. I
Yes,
know
sir.
I know in the process of trying to do this interview, it's taking some time. It's
Sir.
taking some time, and that's honestly because I never wrote it down like on my notes or in my. I normally set alarms for myself to
Yes,
do
sir.
things now,
Wow.
but it's always just kind of falling under being on tour or taking care of the family. And I'm
Wow.
grateful that you were persistent in wanting to make this happen because it's something that I love to do is share information. So
Yes,
I'm
sir.
glad that it finally happened. And if I haven't learned anything from anybody else, I learned it from you. Be persistent. Be
Yes,
persistent,
sir.
man. Everybody, y'all be persistent as well.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Terms of like, I mean, like I said earlier on that this feels like a dream come true for us
Oh man.
because you out there, y'all have a great stuff to share. I mean, you are being with an high sense of knowledge, and to me, I think that when you see someone or when you see the musician that is much more like a well which you can draw from is always a privilege and honor for us to bring them down here to share whatever
Hmm.
thing they like they will have to share with us, and this is a great privilege for us and honor that we are super excited to have you
Yeah.
around. Thanks for coming. So family, we need to release him so he can get to attend to some things, man.
All right.
Yeah, all go follow him on the social media. Lenny with the creep. Yeah, I'm a fan. So go on YouTube. Yeah, so go on YouTube now
Yes,
to
sir.
see much more of his lesson, most of his workout lesson. I mean, he's always someone who has a lot to deliver. I mean, he always has some things to share. And, I said it earlier on during the interview that he's a great man, which I've always believed he just has something to bring to the table. I
Hmm.
mean, it's like you following this kind of a musician. I mean, it's super amazing. You are not making mistake by following and looking up to someone like Haze Amaze. Honestly, I've been a fan of your music for over the years, and I'm a living testimony that this man right here is loaded. I mean, this one
God
right
bless
here
you,
is
man.
loaded. Yes,
Everybody,
sir.
make sure y'all give Drum Gurus a follow as well. Make sure
Thank you,
y'all give
sir.
Drum
Thank you, sir.
Gurus a follow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you. We can't wait to bring you down to Nigeria someday. We can't
Man, I
wait to
can't wait
bring
to
you
come
down.
down.
Yes,
I
sir.
cannot wait, man. It's gonna be
So
amazing.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're gonna walk through that in a few years to come, and we pray God help us. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you. We are super excited about this. So we bring the interview live session to a close now. See you some other time, and thank you very much for everybody that's connecting and people who are going to watch later. Thank you, y'all. Go check him out. He's amazing on his social media account, and you're gonna thank me later for this. So take care, be good, be
Yes, sir.
consistent.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, you've had some new things today. I mean, make sure y'all put it into practice.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Use
Yes,
this as a
sir.
way of life. Yes, sir.
You know it, man. I
Sir.
appreciate you so much.
Yes, yes, sir. So you're welcome. So, hi, sir. So have a great time and enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
All right. God bless you.
Yes, sir. Man, and you too.